GamerDude 2088, and just like the title, I want to ask the question, what is Summoner's War mid-game? It's been a question I've been asking myself for a long time, and in my personal opinion, I believe it should be broke down into several different categories. Reason why is because throughout your progression in Summoner's War, you're going to spend the most time you playing in mid game. Early game is pretty simple. Once you get out of there, you're going to be in mid game for most of your time because the end game players are continuously getting further and further away in the game. And I shall explain, but first, I want to talk about some of the problems we have in as players in the game, early to mid game. And Sunday, I was watching Childish Plays Educate Dominate, and he was talking about gearing some content to the mid game players, and then he was talking about a few things evolving the game, and I believe a little controversy that's going on with the new content, which has been creating a lot of issues. And I wanted to talk about what actually ended up happening in the patch that they had, like some changes that kind of needed to be made. All right, I'm really not going to go on to what's going on with the patch, but I do want to talk about some things that I feel that was still kind of an issue within the game. I feel as if there's a problem with this whole mid-game thing. And with this mid game, it's so much with it. It's so broad. I want to create a standard for what mid game is because we don't have one. We just toss around terms like early game, mid game, late game, end game. We toss these terms around, but to me, it seems like it really doesn't hold any substance, no value. What are these terms? Early game and end game makes sense because early game you're just starting to progress. End game you're doing end game content, which is pretty much PvP. I can't say the PvE content like or the raid or even the new content with the Rift Beast, not exactly, because people that are considered mid game can do this content too. As further as, let's say, the raid goes, people can do R4 and R5, but they're still mid-game players. That's where I'm kind of going with it. I want to categorize the mid-game into stages, tiers type of thing. And I will say your first stage in mid-game will be completing Giants B10. Once you get Giants B10 completed, that opens up the door for Dragons as well as TOA. So now you're at the first stage there. Keep in mind, in Tier 1, you also have the main storyline complete, so that means the world boss is open as well as the rift is open. Your second stage of mid-game is kind of broken into two categories based on priority. Since you have TOA and Dragons open, I would say either completing TOA will be your second stage or completing Dragons and most of TOA for your second stage. And this is TOA normal that I'm talking about. I'm going to try to start calling it tiers because I believe tiers sound better than stages. At this point now, you have a little more monsters roomed up, some decent rooms lingering around, not just your standard Giants team being roomed up and just your standard Dragons team being roomed up. You have a few more monsters under your belt. At this point in Tier 2, you should be a consistent Fighter 1, Fighter 2, and Arena, possibly Fighter 3. You probably have consistent R2 runs and somewhat R3 runs in the raid also. Tier 3, this is when now you're probably speed running Giants. You're working your speed team for Dragons, but you still rather do a consistent safe team for Dragons. You have completed Necro and you're pushing through TOA hard. I'm sure a lot of you are stuck at this point in the game. I'm more of a Tier 2 myself. At this point, I'm sure priority still varies between what you're doing, because even though that you're capable of doing Necro doesn't mean you're going to make Necro a priority. Sometimes you might even making a speed team for the Dragons priority, or increasing your speed team for Giants, or even making it through TOA hard, because you can get far in TOA hard. You can get probably past 50, 60, maybe even 70, but you just can't get over that hump. Sometimes you might not have a consistent TOA 70 run for hard. I'm going to start myself right here because all of this I'm really basing on what I see from other YouTubers as well as other people that I chat with in the game. So I can be completely inaccurate, but I'm trying to start something. Maybe other people can get involved so we can actually create this tier system for us on the mid-game level. Also, for the tier 3 mid-game players, you're now pushing Fighter 3. You're getting real strong Fighter 3 as well as moving into Conqueror for your arena, and your Rage, you're doing strong R3 and pushing into R4. Tier 4 is the one that always kind of had me confused. I will call these players late game players, but they'll say that they're mid game. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, I'm mid game. And this is kind of that gap that I'm talking about that's between the level of players that's in the mid-game bracket. Now for Tier 4, these is your Conqueror 1, Conqueror 2, TOA hard mode complete. They might be pushing in towards Guardian. They doing R4, sometimes maybe R5. I mean, these guys right here, they are doing things that would be, I would consider late game. It's not end game because they're just not, Guardian 2, Guardian 3 arena. And this is what I consider end game. Your Guardian 2, Guardian 3 arena. You have a G3 guild. Those kind of things. That's what I consider end game, just in my personal opinion. Tier 4, I have to say, is a bit of a stretch because as well as you might be doing Conqueror 1, Conqueror 2, these players could be doing Conqueror 3, like I'm saying, pushing it towards Guardian. They might hit Guardian, but they might hit Guardian sometimes and then still fall into that Conqueror 2, Conqueror 3 area. These are the same players that speed running, giant speed running dragons. They can probably auto most of TOA normal, can somewhat auto TOA hard, but they doing TOA hard pretty consistently real well. At the same time, these players are just like really good players. These are the players that I look up to the most because these are like your Orange LOLs, your Samwise GG, these players that also are YouTubers putting out content for the whole mid-game level, because Tier 4 is kind of like your final stage, because after that, this is where I believe late game is for the people that are G1 consistently and are going to G2 trying to get into that end-game G3 phase. The same people that probably are a part of a G3 guild or a G2 guild, something like that. For what Childish Plays got going on his channel for the mid-game players, I believe this is probably epic because we really need this. I mean, we have people out here putting content for mid-game players, but once again, in my personal opinion, I believe mid-game is pretty much the multitude of the community. Most of the players in the game is looking for this. I mean, even for the in-game players that's making in-game content, they're constantly getting comments on their videos asking for things for giants, things for dragons, things for necro, TOA. They asking for things that in-game players don't need help with. What in-game players need help with? Making their speed team for R5, making their arena defense better so they can survive more, and their AO so they can keep getting G3 all the time and not being stuck in G2. I mean, everyone else, we're looking for this. And there's going to always be new players that want to learn the game. I mean, there's someone downloading the game practically every day. Doesn't mean that they're going to continue to play. But for the people that's been playing for several months, most of us are on your tier 1 through 4 in this game. Like I said, myself, I will categorize myself as a tier 2 player, and I'm trying to push further. And this mid game is a really long stretch. It's a long phase, and with the new content that come to us bring out geared to the in-game players, it keeps stretching this mid-game level even further away, because you got players already playing on the in-game stage, and then you give us content that makes us stronger, but is more effective for the players that's able to obtain it the fastest, which are the in-game players. So now they're even stronger, and what it takes to be an in-game player, that level cap has increased. And with the new content we have in the game, it has tremendously increased. Now, everybody is geared down trying to get all of these new rooms and start making these builds so they can make their teams better. In a few months, they're going to have these things, and there's going to be a real strong gap between the players that's in tier 4 from the players that's late to end game. And these is just the people that's in tier 4. What about the rest of us down at the bottom of the tier list? Now, by no means I'm saying that it's bad that we have new content. Not at all. I am glad that makes it so I can put out more content for the community. I mean, I just did a how-to for each riff for early game players, even though none of us at tier 2 or even lower should be even doing it. But now that we got the nerf to the dungeons, it's a lot easier. So maybe tier 2 players can do it. But just like when the rift first came out and we got all of the grindstones and enchant gems, all of that made a lot of people discouraged and wanted to quit the game. And now we got this new content again. It's happening all over again. I mean, I was looking at other YouTubers, like in-game YouTubers channels, and looking at comments that they had on their videos, and people just talking about, oh, well, it looks like I'm back to early game. I might as well quit because I would never get fur in the game. I hate to see people say that, and I try to do my part to help. That's what I'm trying to do my part to help, just to keep people encouraged and keep people playing, to bring more people into the game, because I love the game dearly. Even though I feel like, yeah, I'm still at that same disadvantage as they are, I still want to provide content to help these earlier players get to where I'm at so I can get further and they can get further and we all can grow together as a community. Now, I've had one problem, and it's kind of major to me just because of the level of play I'm on, me being a tier 2 mid-game player. Unknown scrolls. Unknown scrolls has been an issue for me since the new content came out. Now, for the in-game players, they have no use for unknown scrolls. Not at all. But for a player of a tier 2 mid-game like myself, unknown scrolls are essential to leveling fodder, to making 6 stars, to 5-starring monsters that you potentially going to use. It is essential. I mean, in one leveling session, I will go through 300 to 400 scrolls just to make sure if I 6-star something, I can finish its level process within the next hour or so after that happens. Now, since the new content, I have not received an unknown scroll. Okay, I'm lying. But when I go into Karos dungeon, I have yet to see an unknown scroll. The only time I see them are when I am leveling fodder. And the fact that they have been greatly decreased, I don't dislike that. That's cool that they've been greatly decreased because, yeah, I want more runes and all of the new stuff in the game to make runes, all of that. That's cool. They did kind of buff the unknown scrolls in a way where they give you more, but it's not enough. If I'm doing scenario hell, I mean, at minimum, I should see 50 scrolls. 50 scrolls, because if I'm doing this in one session leveling, I'm going through 300-400 scrolls, maybe even 600 scrolls at a time. I need to be able to refill that out. It's to the point where I'm buying scrolls out of the shop. I will buy unknown scrolls every hour on the hour while I'm playing the game. I will go and buy the unknown scroll because I need them. And the same way with in Karos dungeon, since I haven't seen them and it's a possibility for them to be in Karos dungeon still, I need to at least see 200 to 300 scrolls at a time. I mean, at least 150 or so, 150 to 200 scrolls, something like that. I need to see that drop. The increase that they did is just not enough. If it's going to be so rare for them to drop, we need them in bulk, because for players on the mid-game level that's tier 2 like myself, maybe even tier 3, I don't know, but at least tier 2 to early game, we need unknown scrolls. It's essential to our leveling process, and this is what's going to slow us down from catching up from the guys that's in game, and this is just ludicrous. We need something. Come to us, please. Help us out some way, some shape, and some form, and I will appreciate if the community backs me on this, because this is something I know I'm not the only one struggling on, because I wouldn't talk about it if I didn't hear from other people in the community saying the same thing. I'm sure there's more I can talk about, but I'm going to end it there, and I hope I really reached out to someone in the community, because this needs to be addressed. So please, if you like this video, please hit that like button, make this relevant, share it so the community can know, so we all can get involved, because this mid-game problem needs to be resolved for the better of all of us. And I appreciate if you're watching, and if you made it through this far of the video, please in the comment description leave a comment saying GG, so I know and everyone else know that you are supporting the cause. And this is the Gamer Dude signing out. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the new subs and the people that I've been reaching out on Twitter. Thank you a ton for watching. Much love to the Summoners War community. Deuces.